Stop whatever you're doing because what I'm about to tell you isn't just a scandal. It's the decade's biggest scandal. The internet is ablaze with gossip blogs, and the streets are filled with people muttering the truth. Sources claim that Chrissy Lampkin, the same Chrissy who established her brand on drama diamonds and Dipset loyalty, is now facing the harsh reality of a legal decision. Chrissy has been discovered lying, according to sources, under oath regarding her supposed explosive romance with Camron. You read me correctly. The Dipset Don, the closest buddy of Jim Jones, evolved into a forbidden flame. How did we get here? Was it pure recklessness, desire, or betrayal? The betrayal goes further than anybody could have predicted, shattering friendships, families, and the courts, just as Chrissy thought she could outsmart them by playing the cast of Love and Hip Hop. If you think you've seen drama, you haven't yet seen anything. Stay locked in, because this is the expose the world has been waiting for, and believe me, it's going to become much more disgusting. Jim Jones' reaction to the reportedly infinite receipts will leave you stunned. It's said that when you play dirty games, you should anticipate a dirty prize. Chrissy Lampkin's award looks a lot like a cold steel jail cell as the courtroom doors slammed behind her. But it wasn't the gal's echo that kept everyone stunned by the outrageousness of the tale that was developing inside Chrissy Lampkin, a woman who used to walk across reality TV screens as if she controlled the entire network, now being at the heart of a scandal that was so nasty that even seasoned court reporters were taken aback by the shocking revelation. At its core are treachery and a name that has plagued the Dipset heritage for years. Rumors have been circulating for months. The internet created ideas more quickly than Chrissy could upload selfies. But up until now, was there more than friendship between Chrissy and Camron? Was it simply a case of strained familial devotion, or had it devolved into outright betrayal? Until she spoke in court based on explosive testimony and leaked court documents, which, by the way, were allegedly leaked to specific bloggers, it was all just a bunch of rumor mill. Chrissy Lampkin, who remained anonymous, testified before a judge that she had no improper contact with Camron and that she was only Jim Jones' faithful fiancée, a lady who was unfairly singled out by haters and jealous opportunists. But the catch is that lying under oath is not only terrible PR, it is also perjury, and perjury is a first-class ticket to jail. Outline how the prosecution revealed a supposedly secret film that was grainy and shaky, but obviously damaging, showing Chrissy and Camron getting too intimate at a purported business meeting. And by cozy, we don't mean side embraces. The jurors gasped when they heard that Jim Jones, who was seated in the rear of the courtroom, apparently hung up. We're talking full-on lip locks, private booths, and whispered chats that no commercial deal in history has ever required. As if it weren't awful enough, text conversations between Chrissy and Camron were read out in open court, oozing with familiarity. His head was in his hands, and she gazed straight ahead, her jaw clenched so tightly that it could cut glass. As Chrissy flirted, made covert plans to meet together, and talked about keeping things private, you could definitely hear the gasp of Dipset fans nationwide. Now, let's face it, Chrissy has never really been. She was the epitome of subtlety long before this controversy broke, building a reality TV career on drama, confrontation, and memorable meltdowns. You may recall the famous punch she delivered to Camilla on Love and Hip Hop, or the other instances in which she insisted that Jim put a ring on it while sobbing and shouting in front of large crowds across the country. Chrissy wasn't just interested in drama. She was the drama, and it appears that her desire for chaos has placed her in legal hot water. But hold on, things get worse, because if you thought Chrissy's perjury accusations were shocking enough, you haven't heard the stories circulating about what first caused her to lie. Using unnamed insiders, because of course, there are always those insiders who say that Chrissy wasn't merely defending herself. Rather, she was supposedly attempting to safeguard a far more sinister secret involving Chrissy was reportedly afraid that if her private relationship with Camron Jim Jones and some highly dubious business operations were revealed, it would lead to the dissolution of a long series of financial entanglements between the lying under oath, in her opinion, wasn't just about preserving face. It was about protecting everything, of course, because the Dipset crew was financial rumors, off-the-books investments, and covered side projects that no one wanted the Fed to probe. When you lie under oath, the court doesn't care about your intentions. Chrissy Lampkin's goose is currently not only cooked, but burned to a crisp, as if the humiliating courtroom screenshots weren't enough. Within minutes of the sketches appearing on social media, Chrissy's new meme captions, which ranged from hip-hop and love to lying in lockup, became the internet's favorite. Chrissy was seen looking pale, stiff, and plainly shaken. In the meantime, Jim Jones and Camron Radio were silent, making no statements or even posting a half-hearted Instagram post, claiming to be too fortunate to be under stress, while Smash Show courtroom confessions were all over Instagram and Twitter. According to the same buzzing insiders, Jim is reportedly planning his next move after being humiliated and crushed, since loyalty bosses only go so far when public humiliation knocks on your mansion door at the end of the day. Chrissy Lampkin was battling for her freedom in court, not merely a difficult public relations situation, and if the prosecution's evidence continued to mount like it had during opening arguments, she wouldn't simply lose in court, she would forfeit everything she had worked so hard to obtain over the years. But what happened next would turn this story from scandalous to disastrous because the prosecution wasn't finished yet. Oh no, they had one more ace up their card, was a witness that no one anticipated. And when that individual took the stand, everything fell apart in real time, including Chrissy's defense, relationship, and reputation. The tension in the courtroom was so high, every reporter, blogger, and courtroom observer was leaning forward with their eyes wide and their phones tightly gripped, ready to scream out the next viral headline. Then the doors were closed. The mystery witness opened, and a figure stepped in, cool and serene, holding what looked like a heavy bundle of paperwork under one arm. Immediately, a buzz began, and whispers echoed off the walls, asking who this was and whether it was a former buddy, a betrayed confidant, and a former assistant were all unresponsive when the judge called for an order. The figure took off their sunglasses and showed themselves to be a former Dipset tour manager, who no one had anticipated. We'll call him Mr. X for legal reasons. The courtroom held its breath because Mr. X had actual receipts, emails, wire transfers, handwritten notes, and even telephone call transcripts from purported late-night calls. We covered for Chrissy and Camron's business meetings, which had reportedly been going on for years rather than months, according to Mr. X, who spoke in a cold and matter-of-fact manner. In fact, there were whole trips covered as bloggers were unable to type quickly during the Dipset promo runs because hotel expenditures were covered under fictitious company names, drivers were bribed to remain silent, and venues were hired under shell firms so they could meet in private. Sufficient, and to top it all off, Mr. X Jim Jones maintained that he had no idea what was going on beneath his nose as the evidence continued, claiming that he was so preoccupied with maintaining the Dipset brand that he was unaware of it. Photos purportedly taken by private detectives employed by suspicious insiders revealed evidence of Camron and Chrissy traveling together on private planes, checking into hotels several hours apart, and departing together in the morning. A picture even surfaced showing Camron giving Chrissy what looked to be a diamond necklace outside of a now-closed bar in Atlanta. The hashtags Josh Chrissy Lies, Josh Dipset Scandal, and Camron Gate went viral on the internet. Memes were all over the place, and one particularly popular picture featured Chrissy's courtroom sketch and the Mona Lisa adopting the same deadpan expression. The caption read, "When you realize lying under oath wasn't worth it." That, with headlines like "The Untold Truth About Chrissy and Camron's Affair," fake TikTok lawyers started examining the matter after YouTube drama channels amassed millions of views in hours. Fans were furious when Jim Jones was blindsided by his betrayal, and some of them stood up for Chrissy with unwavering love. One fan account stated, "Chrissy has always held Jim down, so I don't believe this for a second. Camron must be out for clout. We've been fresh, and other people weren't as understanding. Chrissy was messy, and she remained messy on Love and Hip Hop. This isn't new. Even celebs started commenting in on a fake tweet from another Love and Hip Erica Mena, a pop alum, read "The streets always talk." Furthermore, the turmoil wasn't just on social media. Courtroom documents leaked to certain people, so I'm not at all shocked. Stay tuned. A troubling financial picture was presented by blogs, including one that claimed Chrissy had borrowed enormous sums of money from Dipset associates under false pretenses. $250,000 for house remodeling, but allegedly used the funds to pay a private investigator hush money for threatening to expose her and Camron. If this is accurate, it would not only be fraud, but also charged with racketeering, which had already raised the possibility of a RICO pro. Chrissy stayed composed in court day after day, whether the reports were true or not. Chrissy's team is in a panic, according to one insider who spoke to an entertainment blog, and they are reportedly pleading with Camron to release a statement clearing her name, despite her poker face scarcely cracking. Jim Jones is reportedly packing his bags and leaving their New Jersey home just hours after the video evidence was shown in court, and Camron is refusing to get involved, ghosting everyone, and Jim appears as the courtroom spectacle continued into its second week. Even mainstream news sites that typically disregarded reality TV scandals expressed their discomfort, telling the same blog, "Not angry, not loud, just numb like the betrayal finally broke him." The New York Times printed a story about Chrissy Lampkin's fall from grace in hip-hop aristocracy to legal disaster. Even more brutally, a tabloid cover featured Chrissy's face with the harsh caption that read, "Lies, love, and lock up." However, there was still the question, what would Camron say? Would he testify? Would he break his silence? And then came the Chrissy's legal team called Camron as a surprise witness on day 7, causing a tense courtroom. Although cameras were not permitted inside, word quickly circulated that security guards were on either side of Camron when he appeared at the courts in a sweatshirt pulled down over his face. When Camron took the stand, nobody was prepared, and courtroom sketches showed him grinning. The same one Dipset when the lawyer posed the crucial question, "Mr. Giles, did you have an inappropriate relationship with Ms. Lampkin?" The audience fell silent, and the sound of the courthouse clock ticking could be heard. Fans knew all too well. "Define inappropriate chaos, absolute unfiltered chaos," he replied, speaking into the microphone. There were whispers and gasps in the courtroom as the judge slammed the gavel's demand for order, precipitated a full collapse on the internet, regardless of Camron's response. "It was done," was the headline that went viral. The most terrible day yet was put in motion when Chrissy Lampkin's defense collapsed and her credibility vanished, allowing the prosecution to strike. The question now wasn't whether Chrissy Lampkin would be sentenced to convicted. The courthouse was a battle zone, and media crowded the entry, while supporters pressed their cell phones against the barricades in the hopes of catching even a hazy glimpse of Chrissy Lampkin. Here the internet's collective gasped as the judge got about to deliver the music punishment that everyone had been anticipating. Chrissy sat motionless and quiet in the courtroom, with her at her side's legal team. Her face was devoid of the glitzy defiance she formerly carried like a high-end jewelry, and Jim Jones was nowhere to be present. Camron, as usual, vanished into the New York night without saying anything more, the judge explained. The courtroom became so quiet that you could hear the reporters' pens scratching frantically on notepads. Insiders, deaf and uninterested by the carnival of celebrity drama, wasted no time. The judge, Ms. Lannon, stated that you had been convicted of perjury and obstruction of justice for willfully giving false testimony under oath about your relationship with Mr. Camron Giles, also known as Camron. The evidence, however, was Chrissy's attorneys pleaded for mercy, pointing to her mental hardship and her charity background, which included a well-known but allegedly fraudulent organization for hip-hop women, business people, and, of course, her devoted following on reality TV. But the judge wasn't amused. "You showed off your power and handled this courtroom like something out of a reality show," the judge said. "This is going to teach you that the legal system doesn't follow a predetermined plot." The punishment was dramatic: 12 months in prison, 5 years of probation, and community service during the courtroom service. One onlooker yelled, "Not my queen." She finally received what was coming to her. Another was heard murmuring, and the phrase "I went nuclear Chrissy" went viral. Even late at night, a particularly vicious post featuring Chrissy in an orange jumpsuit photoshopped over the Love and Hip Hop logo, now known as Lies and Lock Up the Chrissy Chronicles, came to dominate the platforms with memes from all over the world. Comedians jumped on the trend after a hypothetical clip of a talk show presenter gave the punchline, "Chrissy always wanted Jim to put a ring on it." However, the court surprised her by giving her an ankle bracelet instead. However, things became even messier after the ECE sentencing. Within a day, there were speculations that VH1 had approved a special 2-part documentary series that would follow Chrissy's legal collapse. The tentative title of the series is From Defendants. The Chrissy Lampkin story Diamonds to Defendants. The purported project promised exclusive footage, jailhouse interviews, and startling information that the court was unable to even touch, leaving fans split. Some darts called. According to a fan on Twitter, this is bigger than Chrissy, as it was a takedown of Dipset, and the whole thing was a federal sit-up that claimed Chrissy was being targeted because of her ties to influential hip-hop players. Some weren't so understanding. Chrissy got burned after playing with fire, said a widely shared Instagram post beside a video of Chrissy sobbing in court. The consequences weren't just for Chrissy. Jim Jones disappeared, according to insiders, cutting off his phone and disappearing from all social media sites. His final tweet, which featured a mysterious black screen with the words, "Sometimes silence says it all," became the latest obsession. Rumors were rampant. Had he finally broken up with Chrissy? Was he planning to sue her for humiliating her in public? Was he secretly negotiating with Netflix for his own show? A week following his imprisonment, Camron, as usual, stayed mute during the Jim Jones The Betrayal Diaries documentary. However, he shared a casual picture of himself enjoying a Knicks game courtside with the comment, "The internet soaked it up, and the disdain and chutzpah are still winning." Anonymous sources stated that Chrissy was preparing to submit an appeal while her staff rushed to repair the damage, claiming that celebrity prejudice unjustly affected her trial, but the public's opinion had already been heard, and even phony legal gurus on YouTube had weighed in. The only bias here is Chrissy's belief that she could fool a judge. According to industry insiders, Chrissy Lampkin's tell-all book deal, tentatively titled The Price of Fame, My Side of the Story, was leaked along with the way she used to influence reality show producers. The hit simply kept coming in a strange twist. As you were beginning to wonder if it would be a sincere confession or simply another attempt to change history, there were indications that federal investigators were surreptitiously looking into the alleged financial misbehavior related to the entire issue. A hypothetical source close to the investigation hinted that her punishment might only be the beginning because a lot of money moved around in odd ways if she believed this was the end. She's about to get a nasty awakening. The tabloid headlines cried out. The Dipset family, which was once famed for their close relationship and flamboyant brotherhood, was now openly split. Camron silent Jim Jones, absent Chrissy imprisoned fan, as the dust settled and Chrissy was brought out of the courtroom in handcuffs while sporting fancy sunglasses. They couldn't stop binge-watching it all like the last season of the messiest show they never requested. With the look of defiance on her face, the public realized that this was just the start of a controversy that would be discussed and debated for years. In your opinion, did Chrissy Lampkin deserve to be punished for lying about her reported romance with Camron? Was it, as some suspect, a planned hit operation intended to destroy the Dipset empire once and for all? Or was it just another instance of celebrity conceit clashing with harsh reality? I'd like to know if justice was done, if Jim Jones was the real victim of this outrageous betrayal, if Chrissy will recover with a redemption story, or if her time in the spotlight is officially over. Please share your theories and wildest if you believe this to be the most outrageous plot twist of all time. Let's start a lively discussion about conspiracy theories in the comments section below. Trust me, boss, we're just getting started. 2025 began, Be sure to blast that like button, show your friends this video, scandal aficionados, and most all, struck. Press the subscribe button and activate alerts that you should not ignore what we will be preparing next from terrible courtroom betrayals. This is your front row channel for meltdowns. Sit through the most astoundingly messy and occasionally wholly unreal controversies that have ever been seen online.